We're going to start previewing Nebraska's football schedule over the next few weeks as we ramp up through fall camp. We're going to start with Chad Brendel, owner of BearcatJournal.com, to preview Cincinnati. Chad, thanks so much for joining us this morning. How are you?
Good. I am currently driving aimlessly through the middle of nowhere in Indiana trying to get to UC's football camp.
Oh, there you go. That sounds, I'll be honest, it sounds like the start of a horror movie to me, just driving aimlessly through Indiana.
Well, I would agree, but I just passed like a community on the left of me. Every house had their own like luxurious pond with like a dock and like paddle boarding and like I was like, yes, this is like 50 minutes from civilization, but I think I could do this.
Oh yeah, if I get my own pond and a dock, I think I'm in. Chad, as obviously Nebraska and Cincinnati open up in, a month from yesterday, so we're getting down to it. They're getting in camp. Nebraska started yesterday. As you look at Cincinnati, obviously that opener is a huge key game for both teams. Is there a thing that you're looking for that you think you're going to be able to know early in that game that's a total question mark for you right now?
I mean, the biggest question mark I have for Cincinnati is their wide receiver group. They completely remade the room. It was not good enough last year, and really that hurt them. You know, they started 5-2, and things looked really good.
Yeah.
And I think teams, started to kind of figure out how they could defend Cincinnati. And, you take away Joe Royer, who's their, potential All-American tight end. And all of a sudden, there wasn't a whole lot of weaponry for Cincinnati at their disposal. And they went out and they got Cyrus Allen from Texas A&M. They got a kid named Jeff Caldwell from Lindenwood.
There we go.
Lindenwood.
Old MIAA power.
This is a kid that was 5'9" in high school, and his senior year he shot up to 6'4".
Oof.
He's 6'4". He runs 22 miles an hour and has a 40-inch vertical leap.
Okay.
So we'll see. I mean, the talent looks a lot better, but you're going to have to go out and produce. And they've ran the ball really well under Scott Satterfield. The passing game is what has failed them. If they have fixed that, this can be a very talented offense.
Chad, when it comes to that season opener, Ravi talked about it just a little bit, but for Nebraska, it feels like for Nebraska fans, it feels like it's going to be the start of maybe a big season. And if it doesn't go the way Nebraska fans hope it does, it could feel like a lot of despair. Where does Cincinnati sit with that season opener? Do they feel like it's going to be a make or break moment in the season, or is it just another game on the radar?
I think it's a really important game. I mean, you guys have covered some seasons like we have the past couple of years that if you don't get off to that good start, Scott Satterfield won 3 games his first year, 5 games his second year. Fans aren't looking for 6-6. They're looking for 7-5, 8-4. Like, they want to see considerable progress in year 3. And, a loss isn't devastating, but if you're trying to get to 7-5 and you lose to Nebraska, now you got to go 7-4 with 9 Big 12 games ahead of you. The math starts getting a little bit more complicated already. And I think that's where it's really critical for this team to start well. And, look, I've talked to some people in ticketing for this game, and I've heard 75, 80+% Nebraska fans are the ticket buyers for Arrowhead Stadium.
Yep.
This is going to be a Nebraska home game. Like, let's not kid ourselves. It's not going to be in Lincoln, but it's going to be a Nebraska home game. So, it's critical for them to get off to a good start and show that there's tangible progress being made here.
So, Chad, talk to me about Brendan Sorsby, because I think that's going to be, obviously, as the quarterback, he's going to be a key part of everything you're talking about here about the offense trying to be more dynamic and getting better. He's a true dual threat, can run the ball really well. You look at the numbers and you go, okay, had a pretty good year last year. But if I remember correctly, there's a pretty big disparity in his completion percentage and accuracy in games they won versus ones that they lost. What does he need to do to help Coach Satterfield get that leap into that next step for Cincinnati?
Well, the disparity really comes from first half of the season to second half of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they started, like I said, 5-2, then lost their last 5 games, and he wasn't good enough in those 5 games. And frankly, there was at least one West Virginia that was on him. I mean, he threw 2, guy at his feet, flings the ball up in the air, and it gets taken back for a pick 6, where you just got to take the sack. Like, you got to live to fight another day. And he's trying to make something happen, and you commend him for that, but you can't make the catastrophic mistake. And a couple times he made the catastrophic mistake, and that's really a big thing that he's got to continue to evolve, because Sorsby transferred in from Indiana. His redshirt freshman year, he started 7 games for Indiana, so when he got here, he had a little bit of experience under his belt, but he wasn't what I would consider a veteran quarterback. Now he started 19 games.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have a guy making those pivotal, crushing errors that derail the fourth quarter or, crunch time of a game. That's where he's got to be better. Is he's got to understand there's going to be a time to let it rip, because he's got a big arm. He's really talented. If you look, like, there's a pretty interesting divide on Brendan Sorsby. Media types don't love him when they're rating Big 12 quarterbacks because of what you just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Scouts love him. He's 6'2.5", 6'3", big physical kid. He can really let the ball fly. He can run it a little bit. He's got a good understanding of the offense, but he's been a little bit inconsistent. If he stays inconsistent, this offense isn't going to get to where they want to get. If he shows what he did in those first 7 games, where there were people really talking about him as one of the surprise quarterbacks in college football, this team can be really good. So that's going to be the interesting part, is do you get first half of the season Brendan Sorsby, or do you get the guy that really couldn't put it together when they needed him to over the last 5 games?
Chad, the Cincinnati defense at times wasn't really making enough of the big splash plays, right? Not enough turnovers, not enough sacks in those moments. What went on in the offseason to change that narrative? Have they tried to figure out different schemes or different ways that they can try to be more aggressive when it comes to either getting turnovers or just getting those bigger splash plays defensively?
They completely remade the secondary, which was necessary. They have in 2021, they had 2 guys. One was Kobe Bryant, who's with the Seahawks. The other was a guy named Sauce Gardner. Mm-hmm. He's pretty good. And they have not been able to replicate. They haven't come close to finding 2 guys that can cover like those 2 guys. They went out and got a guy from Coastal Carolina named Matthew McDoom, which is one of the great names in college football.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Sounds like a supervillain.
Yeah.
And he's coming in to play that number 1 corner spot. He had an interception the first day of camp yesterday, had a really good spring, and looks like they finally got a guy that they can leave on the boundary, guard the other team's number 1 wide receiver, and do it at a very high level. I think that changes a lot of that already. They got a new cornerbacks coach, a new safety coach. They brought in a couple guys in the secondary and the safety as well. One of them being Christian Harrison from Tennessee. His dad's Rodney Harrison. So the pedigree is there for him. So they feel like there's a significant upgrade in talent in the secondary. The big question is going to be pass rush, because they did not get to the quarterback at all last year. Just not good enough in getting a guy off his spot. And when, you look at Dylan Raiola and then you look at the guys they're going to face in the Big 12 at quarterback, you cannot allow them to just stand there and run through their progressions. You're going to get sliced and diced, no matter how good your secondary is. So the big name I'm watching to make a jump this year is a true sophomore named Marquez Parker, who they probably would love to have played less last year, but they had a bunch of injuries. He got forced into action, played around 200 snaps, and flashed. Now they need him to show that he's consistently going to be a guy that can disrupt the pocket and go along with, look, they've got one of the best nose tackles in the country in Dante Corleone. Talk about another great name. The Godfather is his nickname, in case you didn't. That's an easy one. That's a layup.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's been first team All Big 12. He's been an All-American. He's going to draw double teams. Teams have to, I mean, he's 6'3", 315, 320 pounds, a complete wrecking ball in the middle, but nobody's taking advantage of it on the outside. So, you know, they are going to have to get better at getting the quarterback off his spot, or, you know, this defense isn't going to be as good as I think it can be.
Chad, I know you got to get out here in just a minute to get to practice, but talk to me about the other side of the line with the offensive line. I believe you've got 3 transfers coming in that are expected to start. What do you expect to see from that offensive line, especially early as they haven't quite gelled yet?
Yeah, there's 3 new starters. 2 of them are transfers. One of them from Ball State, an interior guy. His name's Taranteo. He is a massive human, 6'4", 320 pounds. He did 4 reps on the squat bar at 650 pounds this offseason. He is a monster of a human, and they expect big things from him. And then in the spring portal, they went and they got the number 1 tackle available in the spring by the name of Joe Cotton, who was an FCS guy and, you know, one of the best tackles outside of the, you know, Power 5 football. So they think those 2 guys are plug and play. But like you said, you're replacing a lot, you know, especially those 3 guys that they're replacing. One of them got drafted. The other 2 are in NFL camps. Like, those are 3 really talented pieces that they've got to figure out how to replace. Luckily, their center is a 6-year guy. This is his 3rd year in a row being a captain, and Gavin Gerhardt. So they've got some stability in the middle. They've just got to make sure that they can get this thing where they want it here over the next 30 days, because those guys are going to be, you know, asked to do a lot. And, you know, no offensive line coach in the country is like, oh, I'm happy about losing 3 guys to the NFL and figuring out how to replace them with Nebraska coming up on week 1.
Chad, we appreciate the time, and hopefully we'll see you in Kansas City in about 30 days.
I will not be there, I don't think, but my beat writer will be there. My daughter plays high school volleyball, and they have a game scheduled that day, and then again on Saturday at 10 a.m. of Labor Day weekend. So, yeah, I'm going to have to talk to the schedule makers at Simon Ken's high school volleyball, because they didn't do me a solid here.
Yeah, you got to give them to help you out next time. Well, Chad, it was great talking to you, and hopefully we'll catch up again soon.